Are you aware of like the fandom of Bobby online?
I'm a little bit aware of it.
I mean, basically Bobby's like a feminist icon, effectively. Where
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's essentially a lot of times people using it to kind of indicate like standing up for yourself and telling someone to back off.
How can I find... You have to show me this.
I'm a big cartoon fan, so like you've done voices on most of the shows I watch obsessively at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we had the creators of Phineas and Ferb by.
Yeah.
I know you were
Dan
Buford's
and
mom.
Swampy.
Yeah, they're super lovely.
I did a bunch of stuff on that, and then the one after.
Yeah. The hamster.
Thank you, Hamster and Gretel.
There you go, Hamster and Gretel. I saw that you did Star versus the Forces of Evil, which
amazing.
Yeah, I fell down a deep hole on that one.
It's a gift.
Yeah,
it's a gift to be able to do it because I mean I grew up watching like the classic cartoons and animation, and like Bugs Bunny and the Wacky Races.
I didn't even think of that, and you get to pay tribute to that in this season of King of the Hill, because Bobby has that moment of talking about Mel Blanc.
I mean, that's my foundation. I learned how to do voices by watching the cartoons and imitating Snagglepuss and the Wacky Races characters, and I always loved. I feel like when I look at my career and look at how much animation is such a big part of what I do, I remember significantly a Bugs Bunny episode, and Errol Flynn, the real life actor, he flew in on a vine and he landed, and he's talking to Bugs, and that just like blew my mind.
Yeah,
like cracked my head open. You could have real life people with cartoon characters, so. It's all very a harmonic convergence to me when you see a show like King of the Hill, which I really feel like I cut my teeth on as a writer, as opposed to like, I mean, it's this gift. You're able to just go in, and I remember recording the original shows and thinking, oh, this is the best job in the world, because it's so grounded, and I love Bobby so much. He's like my favorite character, so much so that if I see a picture of Bobby, I think I'm looking at myself.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's me. It's an extension of me. Yeah, he's one of my kids as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that, because like I've watched King of the Hill since it started, and in a way kind of grew up with a kind of Bobby, where first I was like his age, and then I was older than him, but looking back on him, and I didn't realize until watching season 14 how invested I apparently was in watching Bobby grow up, because in the new season he is 21 and he has figured out some things, and some things he is still working on, but I said this sincerely to a coworker. Episode 3 of season 14 was like watching The Bear for me. I was so stressed out, and it's like the episode where Bobby's like he has a restaurant, and it's a little under fire from different pressures, and it is, to be clear, not as like tense as The Bear, but for me, I was so invested in that I need Bobby to be okay.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
What was it like coming back to like this production and this character who has grown so much since the last time we got to see him?
Well, it's just like, it's like opening a box in your house, and, it's been sitting in the corner, and then you're like, I'm going to clear out this room. I don't even know what's in that box, because I have this whole theory that if you have something in a box, it just becomes a box after so long. And then you go and you're like, I'm going to get rid of this. And you open it up and you're like, oh my God, there's all this treasure. Wait, I've got to revisit this. Wait, you want me to do this again? We can do this for a living. It's one of those things that I've been telling people that Kathy Najimy, who plays my mom, Peggy, for the past 15 years, she's like, would take little conspiracy theorist gossips, bits from Reddits, and say, so-and-so said that King of the Hill is coming back because this happened. And I'm like, girl, don't talk to me. until things are real. Okay, Dwayne,
Right.
I got to get back to the planet Earth now. And it's like, duh, everybody obviously would want that to happen. And the other thing for me is that I really don't want it. I didn't want it to be like everybody's doing a revival or a reboot.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be gross, like, yeah, let's do it. Because then it just becomes like, can't anybody think of their own thing and they have to go back? And I feel very protective of the world. And like you said, you grew up on it and then you were surprised how invested you were. Like, I've been very invested. And so when we were in the middle of doing the first 13 seasons, that show, I would be like, I don't think Bobby should say prop comic for the rest of the season or fruit pie. Like, you just become like the Bible. Yeah. And they were very mindful of the world. And so we have some OG writers on the show, and then we have all these wonderful new writers who really are fans. And we got to have, so besides my two dads, Mike Judge and Greg Daniels, I got a new dad, Saladin Patterson, and Sal is like such a fan of the show. I look forward to you talking to him because he's incredible, and he's got this like incredible enthusiasm for the world and the characters and the sound and the look and the stories.
Well, I think it's also like what I was talking about before we started shooting, where I think that growing up and going back to the things that we love when we were younger, sometimes you realize that you were just young and kids like everything. But I go back and King of the Hill's still really good. And I think the reason this season works is it's not just let's go back to the well. It's tapping into those core concepts that work to begin with, because they spoke about Arlen in a way that was very specific but also very relatable. And like, I still feel like I know these characters, and I was just really shocked by how it felt like I understand time has passed, because even within the show time has passed, like, but to be able to just fall right back into it was really astounding to me.
Yeah, I love that, what you said, like going back to the well, because it's doing press, and I was just at Comic-Con with Mike and Greg and Sal, and just being able to hear them talk about it, and Greg realizing, like, we were at Sketchfest in San Francisco in 2017, and we did a reading, and there was this like really positive response to it, which wasn't a surprise to the actors, but Greg and Mike were just like, hey, man, like the two brothers got back together, and that these characters are all so rich and well-defined. And then seeing them, you're able to get all the good stuff, that the vintage, like King of the Hill stuff that really, scratches that itch for everybody. And then the refreshed new version, and like having this, it's a great device, but it comes organically, which is, Hank and Peggy coming back to Arlen and it being all new to them.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting because, like, when I saw they released the opening credits a month or so ago, and when Bobby comes into frame for the first time, that really impacted me to see Bobby all grown up. I'm curious what was like for you for the first time. They're like, this is the sketch of 21-year-old Bobby Hill.
Well, I related to it because I have the same stubble that Bobby does now. So let's just get that out of the way. And it was, I was like, don't shock me.
Yeah.
We all go through this with our kids. So I feel like I think that for Greg and Mike, they're the parents of Bobby. Mm-hmm. And, I started King of the Hill before I was ever a mom. And now I have 3 grown daughters who don't even live at home anymore, which is wild. And so it was like oh, I got to see my daughters grow up. But it's a whole different thing. Like, you're going to see Bobby,
Yeah.
I mean, Bobby's like you with your partner. You guys have been together for as long as Bobby and Connie have been together. And
just about, honestly.
Yeah, like almost as long. And it just, I mean, there's a kindness and a sweetness to the whole world. And to just see that little shift, to see, Bobby and Connie and Chain and Joseph become, people in their early 20s, it's really important. It's very subtle, and it really moves the needle in such a positive way.
Yeah, I think so. I'm also curious what it's like for you, because if you said comparing it to your own daughters, like you've gotten to watch them grow and evolve, and also your on-screen daughters, like Mikey Madison, Oscar winner. What has that been like?
It's great. It's great. I mean, I've watched all of my kids grow and evolve beyond me. Don't forget about me. But for Mikey, incredible. And it's great because it'll make people say, wait, what was she in before? And maybe they'll go back and discover better things.
Yeah.
The woman who discovered her.
Yeah, for real. I was honestly surprised that didn't get brought up more. Because, what a terrific show, and like what a great platform to grow as actresses.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious about, as far as like Bobby goes, are you aware, because you kind of suggested that Kathy's more online than you are.
Yeah.
Are you aware of like the fandom of Bobby online?
I'm a little bit aware of it. I have a guy who's been doing my hair for a long time, Hair STP, and he sends me every Bobby tattoo and meme, and it's really fun. But I myself, like, am out in the wild, and I'll look at somebody and I'll be like, wait, what do you have? And I see, like, I walked up to a girl in the supermarket and she had Bobby on her calf, and I was with my girlfriend and I was like, watch this. And I just started filming her, and then I went up to her face and she saw me and she was like, oh my God. And then she screamed out the name of her tattoo artist. It was really sweet. It was really sweet. Then I chased her down in this Vons in this supermarket, and I was like, what's your Instagram? Because I think I'm going to post this.
I love that.
Because it's too good.
It's funny because like Bobby's, which it's the episode you won an Emmy for, where Bobby learns self-defense.
Yeah.
And That's My Purse, I Don't Know You, has a huge life on TikTok. Are you aware of that?
I am not.
It's basically people lip syncing to the sound. And it's basically Bobby's like a feminist icon, effectively. Where
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's essentially a lot of times people using it to kind of indicate, like, standing up for yourself and telling someone to back off.
How can I find? You have to show me this.
Let me see. We'll
because I don't know this. I just know that that people have it tattooed on their bodies, but I didn't know that they were doing.
Oh yeah.
Well, somebody once, I saw somebody at a party, and she said that she learned about, it was Dylan Mulvaney. Mm-hmm. And she said that she learned about better things from TikTok. And she was like, you're viral on TikTok. And I was like, show me.
This is, if you type in Bobby Hill purse, there's so many. Apparently someone made a Bobby Hill purse.
That's my purse. Don't be afraid to shout it. That's my purse. Try it again. That's my purse. I don't know you.
Oh.
But just on and on.
Oh my God. Stop it.
It kind of feels like Angela sounds like Bobby Hill.
But yeah, just people.
And that's Ashley Gardner, who's such a genius. Oh my God. That's amazing.
But yeah, there's.
Do you have TikTok on your phone? Can we look at this in the car later?
Yeah. Here's my introvert personality.
That's my purse. Try it again. That's my purse. I don't know you.
Oh my God. You guys need one of those in the bookshelves.
I'll have to reach out. I'll have to reach out to this creator. Be like, we're gonna need your. I mean, I would absolutely wear a Bobby Hill purse. I should. I'm shocked they don't own it already.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Bobby just. I think it's part of the excitement. Like, I love watching them all come back and like learning like that Peggy has learned Arabic was a journey.
Oh my God.
But like, yeah, the idea of like, of course, Bobby's into brewing and things like that.
Totally.
But I'd like to kind of get into kind of some more kind of just where you're at pop culture wise. Are there particular shows you like to watch?
I have a certain level of OCD, and it's very hard for me because I have to finish things. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's good or bad in my aesthetic, but one of the things that happens to me is I'll start to watch something and fall asleep, and then I'll forget what I was watching.
Sure.
Which I think is one of the downfalls of streaming.
Yeah.
Because you forget what you actually intentionally turn the thing on to look at. But I like weird stuff. Like I watch like classic movies, and I go to TCM and Criterion Collection, and so it's maybe not so much shows, but when I just got back from Comic-Con, the first thing I did was watch South Park, the premiere episode.
Sure.
With my mouth hanging open not because of the penis or whatever, just because it was so funny. Mm-hmm. And it was so edgy. And I remember speaking to somebody about the episode afterwards, and they had said that they were a little bit scared. They were they were afraid, like, for Matt and Trey, and that everybody would be safe. And I said, you know what? The episode made me feel safe, because when people are pushing and not taking the teeth out and adding teeth, but not doing it to be like, they earned it because it's so brilliant. And you got to take the hits of things that maybe like make you feel squeamish and aren't very appropriate. What's appropriate anymore? What's appropriate is pushing the envelope as much as we can while we are human.
I love that. Yeah, I think totally.
Yeah.
Is there anything when you're looking for a project or something that really draws you to it in that vein, where you're like, I want to be pushing that envelope? Yeah,
I'm, for me as a director and a writer.
Director of Babes.
Thank you. Thank you.
We love Babes.
It's really important that people allow me to do the thing I do, and to trust me. Because otherwise it's like, if you get into a situation where people are like holding you back from taking the big swings, then everything gets compromised. And, I worry for comedy. Yeah. And, in particular, because when you soft pedal comedy, it just becomes diluted, and it's half-assed, and it's like you don't want any piece of it. So the kind of the crazy thing about King of the Hill is where it sits. It's just this beautiful kind of place that's in the middle, which is literally the middle class, which we are dying for. Mm-hmm. I mean, talk about being aspirational. Bring back the middle class. Why does it have to be up here, nothing, and then the rest of us? Yeah. And like everybody's just scrambling to like find a job and pay their rent. So it's that middle place, and the fact that Hank lives in a place where he's got Bobby, who's always been like a deep thinker and free spirit and outside the box, and Peggy, who's an artist and soulful no matter what, and Hank has always met them in the middle. Yeah, I love that as a translation of that. I think that's really sensational. I think that's our time. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience about King of the Hill? Oh, if I may, you can cut it out if you want. But, you know, I mean, they kept it on Jimmy Kimmel. So, basically, you know, King of the Hill was talking about, like, the editors, the ADs, the focus pullers, the people who make the whole thing run. And so I went into my storage and I got out all of my animation swag, and I have all these unique animated hand-painted cells, which can be 8 layers, and you see the movement in all the layers, and they don't do that anymore. And I'm selling them through heritage auctions to benefit my friends in the industry who are totally screwed right now and trying to life pivot. So the auction's coming up at the end of September, beginning of October with Heritage. If you want to put it out there, I'm trying to raise money for people who do what I do and can't do it anymore because our jobs are being taken away by robots. But I think there is a way that we can kind of live hand in hand with AI. And I think instead of fighting it as hard as we are, it's just understanding it more.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting conversation as it evolves, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited to check out what the auction is. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you should look up this guy, Mustafa Suleiman. I just was reading about him and I listened to him on a podcast, and I think his company is called Deep Think or Deep Thought, and he's also runs Microsoft, and he's just kind of a brilliant guy.
All right, well, to look at that.
He's you guys' age.
But thank you so much for coming. This has been such an
Thank you. I said thank you, and I said good day. I'm not putting my hand in the dune bucket.